Hello, everyone. This is the February regularly scheduled meeting of the Advisory Committee on Sustainability, being held Wednesday, February 12th, coming to order at 12:20 p.m. The first item on the agenda is public comment, but I do not see anyone here joining us beyond our committee members, so we can pass on public comment and move into the minutes from the January meeting that Lauren had prepared. And are there any questions, comments before approving those minutes?
So moved. I guess the only thing I'd add is, could we put the next meeting at the end of those?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Thank you. They looked great.
I think I already commented when they were first distributed.
Okay.
I imagine if they've been updated.
I have no objections with the minutes as presented by you. Before.
Did you have comments?
I think
On
I
this one?
responded. I'm pretty sure I did. But anyway, I'm happy with it. It's nothing material.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Well, my memory is worse than yours.
I remember the meeting month before.
Prior.
Oh, maybe it
Yeah,
was.
prior
Yeah, the
month I
month
know you
before, for
had.
sure.
Maybe it was.
This one, I don't remember anybody saying anything.
I had nothing to add. I think the one suggestion
If
would
I
be
could
to-
present them, then we could
Yeah,
look at them.
I know,
but-
instead of handing them out on paper or
Yeah.
emailing them the night before.
It's all good.
Anybody like to make a motion to?
I so
approve?
moved to accept the
Second.
meeting. The
Okay.
minutes.
All in favor? Aye. We are still working as a committee of 5 when we could be a committee of 7. When we were last organized in 2023, we did have a full group of 7 people, and it's helpful to have enough different points of view and also skill levels and people to work on individual projects around the town. And I would say it's almost imperative in order to work on documenting and applying for sustainable CT that there be more people than we have now if we want to evenly split workload and not make it burdensome. So I'm still hoping that we can fill 2 positions. A person who had expressed interest, I have not heard back. I will try him again. To see if there was any interest. That person, if they were joining, would have to go through recommendation and approval, so that may be in process, and I just haven't heard yet. Lauren, you said you have some information?
I do. So I reached out to, oh God, who was my person? The person I was supposed to reach out to. He was, I'll think of his name in just a minute, but it's on our last meeting. And he, so it was actually, it led to a really interesting discussion because he was supposed to join EPC.
I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Bill Capers.
Thank you, Bill Capers.
Capers,
My
yeah.
goodness, I'm sorry. It just must be the baby brain thing going on. I don't know.
Or
So-
the cold, foggy day, which is just foggy.
So anyway, so Bill Capers said that he was supposed to be on EPC, that didn't work out with the town. So now, I thought he would be perfect. He goes to all the events. He's really active. He's great. Now, he mentioned that the town may be looking into a bigger picture conservation type. Don't use that word. It's like an environmental something type of another organization or another, not organization, but town group or whatever you want to call it. And he's going to wait to see where that goes before making his decision on kind of where he's going to land. I thought that was interesting because it led to the bigger discussion of like, what is this conservation committee or commission or whatever it is that's going on, because I didn't know anything about it. And so I think I may have mentioned that to you when we spoke with Marley, and Marley was going to look into it a little bit more. So long story short, I think if there is an opportunity to get, town department, organizations or groups together and kind of figure out what that looks like, it might be helpful for us in a few different ways. Namely, if we do sustainable CT, you know, just networking, getting everybody on the same page and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, if we are this bigger group, that's a different story than if there's another one, right? And what that shapes out to be, so.
So when it's unfortunate that John is not here today, because when he was at our meeting on Zoom, I feel like I got everybody in my head doing this, I'm not ignoring you. He did mention that he is seeking information, and I don't wanna quote him, on how to group and organize the bodies, the people, the commissions, to have an environmental kind of mission. And he asked us directly if we had any models of how that was done. So, and we could present them back to him. And so I'm under the impression that he is looking for how to organize. And I am also under the impression that if we know how other towns organize their resources, that he's open to hearing that from us, from our peer communities, friends, knowledge. So I'm not surprised at how you heard from Bill Cavers that he would like to know what that is and if that was something he could participate in. And this is my own personal opinion, but it may be that he will combine groups like us and Coastal and whatever together and have, so we may not exist the next year, or we would exist in, not exist, would exist under a different commission name or staffing or grouping. And if that were to be the case, I would still ask Bill to join here as part of the knowledge that we do have, if there's something that's going to build, if John wants to build on this to have a common message or a common way of information coming in and out of town. So I'd be willing to take another shot on him if you would like to, and if you're watching the meeting. In the meantime, I do have a follow-up with John since he couldn't come today, so he said just call me when he gets back in town. I'd be happy to ask him if he has any input for us.
Yeah, I think we need clarity around
Yes.
that specifically, but you know, when we spoke with John in our last meeting, you know, I mentioned that it would be good to kind of know what everybody else is working on, what everybody's doing. It led me down this rabbit hole where I made a list of the different organizations and committees and commissions in town that are all either sustainability or environmental related. And, you know, I thought we could kind of start going and understanding what they're doing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. One is, that doesn't preclude, I think, to just wrap on who might join our committee right now.
Yeah.
I think, because that goes into one of the communication ideas that you had that I want to get to today, that getting people together, knowing what they're doing. What we're hearing is that one person said no, so we can either ask that person again, check with the person who attended last month's meeting and see if either of them could join. If not,
I had 2 no's.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If we're just talking about membership, then
Right now,
we don't
it's-
know about Bill Cavers, we don't know about Jason,
Correct.
and we don't know what's gonna, I mean, I think, you know, one conversation overlaps the other. That was what I'm saying, of like these different,
Yes.
you know, understanding what they're doing, who's on them, who the contacts are, what's going on in the world of.
In the broader thing.
Yeah.
The charge right now for the 5 of us is to see if there are any other people for 2025 as we are comprised that would join our group to assist with work and planning on the things that we're gonna work on, food scraps, EVs.
Well, if we understood what some of these others were doing, then we could potentially, you know, get them to consider joining us as well.
Well,
in
we're gonna come
addition
back
what
to the
else
idea
they're
of kind of getting a group
Yeah.
together and having a kind of a forum to open that, because I think you're right, the next thing is we haven't pinpointed a person, open the dialogue and see if
Yeah.
we can work that way.
doing. Yeah, and I think Carolyn also mentioned she would be able maybe to potentially help us on some things. I don't know if she wants to officially become
Yes, and
member again, but-
she's provided some information for later on in today's meeting. So, okay, so can we just move on from organizing the open positions, being we don't have anyone identified to recommend right now to the Board of Selectmen.
That's right.
but we've got some follow-up work to do, some of which I know Lauren has done quite a bit of thought, has put a lot of thought into. We have really, I can see 5 topics to talk about, and I know that the sustainable CT application process came to the top of the list in importance of determining where this committee is headed. We also have quite a bit of work on communication that Lauren has done. There is some work that Cliff and Carolyn put together on waste management. Carolyn also gave us an idea for a food scrap trial. And then I know then beyond that, I know we still need to follow up with Tony on EVs and any Earth Day events that anyone knows about. But I think the top 3 topics are sustainable CT, communication, and waste management. Would you all agree that those are the 3 things we wanted to talk about? Give each one a little bit of time?
Yes.
Okay. Starting with sustainable CT, for people listening or for those of you that didn't participate, we filled out an application and were certified as bronze in 2019. We were certified silver in 2022, and the current certification will expire at the end of 2025. It ends and you're off the list. We are still a participating town as long as we continue to register as a sustainable CT community. And the question becomes, if we want to build another certification, we want to recertify, we have the opportunity to do so in either August of this year or April of next year. To refresh, for Cliff was on the committee for 2022, we submitted, I'm gonna count this. We submitted about 25 to 30 different actions, 31 actions, and the actions gathered 535 points, and that was enough to be considered silver. And I will just pass around, for the sake of it, one of the sections that we did, so you can look at. This was just the 9.3 recycle additional materials, and so for you in the room, and 9.4. This is the documentation. It's 3 pages of documents with probably 40 PDFs and a whole bunch of other things. I'll send it this way. So that was the work for one of the 31 categories. One that we're pretty strong with because of the transfer station and waste management and recycling mattresses and food and all of those kinds of things. So the question becomes, what do we do to do it again? And in speaking to Jon, he's not here, he did say he could see this as a heavy lift, and he wasn't sure whether it would be worth anything more than trying to do bronze, but I don't, again, want to speak for him. That was a conversation we had via email last week. And he also realized as a heavy lift, he wasn't sure what the timing should be. And if you were here, he could give us some guidance from his point of view on staffing that they can contribute. But what we did last time was split by member, and each person took maybe 5 actions, 6 actions, and did all the work themselves. So with 5 people on the committee, it is a heavy lift if we're trying to have everything done by the end of July for an August submission. The first step in recertifying is an audit of last time, and the sustainable CT interns are doing that now. It will be available next week, so I would recommend we hold a Zoom call with her as a special meeting so that she can show us what points would likely carry over. And based on changes, tweaks that happened between 2022 and 2025, and some things you can resend, some things you can't. So I would think our first place to start is to hear Sustainable CT give us their results of an audit and use that to determine what the next steps would be. And whether that be bronze or silver or August or April.
So is it possible then, based on the points, we may end up with bronze, I'm saying, with minimal effort. I think we need to quantify the effort, and then we can see whether we can go for August or April. If you were to think that we should get to silver, I would say we can wait for April, it's okay, versus standing with bronze and I don't know how we operate every year versus.
And I guess that really, to me, is partly what the town wants. I mean, we're not doing this for our own,
Exactly.
getting a grade on an exam. It's how important is it to the town, and it's the paperwork to do it, but it is also implementing things that may not have yet been implemented that take work on town staff
Yeah.
in order to do and then document in order to submit. And in any case, even if we have a lot that will roll over, you still have to start from scratch and
Yeah.
have all new documentation. So even 9.4 would need to be done again, with all the data that was there. So the work in this, the write-ups, the documentation details, the annual recycling report, the webpage, our model brochures, all of that would have to be current, even if that same information could be used again in another year. It would have to be current.
Right,
So last time, did each department put that together? We went, asked each department, they gave it to us, and we uploaded it in their
No,
system?
well, yes and no. We did much of it. I mean, a lot of the work, Carolyn, Craig, myself, Cliff, we built our own spreadsheets, we copied Facebook pages, we went to the town hall and looked at reports that go into the annual report. We compiled everything ourselves.
Got ya.
How easy to access the information, meaning, are these documents publicly available, available for us at least, versus we have to submit a request, wait for them to generate and all that?
It depends. I mean, I think, for example, on one of them, we'll use this one. We were using transfer station logs, we were using the webpage from our own town, we were using letters from people that guaranteed they were doing what they were doing, we had our trifold brochure. And what it all boils down to is the Sustainable CT tells you what you need to submit. So it says, do these 7 things, so then you take the 7 things they tell you and you go and find them. If it's an action that you've not yet done, for example, the one I was so excited about last week, having gone to a webinar on sustainable snow management, there is a training program in the state, where if we send people to the training, then we get points for that. So we have to convince someone that it's important, and they sign up for the training, and they go, and we take their registrations, and we document that, we put it in the application.
Just on that point, actually, because it's something I want to bring up. I was one of those people. I went to those sessions. We got the points. The town did not benefit.
I did it too for EPC and the town, and we got points for mine, for me
Yeah.
going, right?
Yes.
But I don't see how.
You weren't a decision maker, she was as a commission member, so there's a little.
Oh,
See
it's
what
a
I mean?
different training, yeah.
If you think about who's the value, I mean, you get educated, it's still a good thing, but you were working on behalf of the town on some of your work.
I think it added value
Yeah.
to the town for me and my fellow commission members to take the class.
Absolutely.
So.
We had policemen take an EV police car training, and that got points. Again, so and that's the point of this, is to educate your community on what's out there. Not to educate the 5 of us, but to educate.
Yeah. I think big picture wise, whatever we choose to do, whether it's sending people, Carolyn said a lot of the things that we got points for was because we posted things on social media.
Exactly.
Right? And then that could contribute to the point. There's a million different ways to get points.
Correct.
Right? But big picture wise, I don't think we should choose to do anything new yet. I think there are a number of things, because I did this in New Jersey when I ran a nonprofit. So I ran a nonprofit in New Jersey that did the Sustainable Jersey submittal for the town of Morristown, New Jersey. Right? So we did, it's the same exact thing. So what I did a lot of, because there was a lot of little nonprofits in this Morristown, New Jersey, I took what they were doing, which is why I want to know what everybody's doing, because I don't know what anybody's doing. But I took what they were doing, and I said, hey, Marley, town of Darien communications person, can we publish this on the town of Morristown's thing and just say, hey, guess what? The Green Wave team is doing this event. now it shows that the town supports it, now we can own it and we can get points for
And
that.
that's
it's an easy
exactly-
win 'cause it's already happening, we don't have to do anything.
And
So it's
much
helpful.
of the points in this application came from Darien Nature Center, Darien Library,
Yeah.
Cherry Lawn Park. So it did absolutely include the work of our partners, and the link between the town and the partner had to be
Yeah.
shown.
I think
Whether
there's
it's we
more.
pay, whether it's we pay for a portion of a library fee, or we pay, you know, we own Cherry Lawn Park, whatever it is, yes, absolutely. It's not just what happens in town hall, it's what town hall participates in as a partner
Yeah.
to outside organizations, absolutely.
So there's a ton of things that, like, the Green Wave is doing, and we're
How
not
many
gonna
orgs
own
were
them
there
all.
on your list?
On my list, this is very preliminary, and I have 26 at the moment that I just, literally, I thought of myself. Like, I'm sure that there's more that are happening in town, and I don't know if it's something that we could take advantage of. If other towns have nonprofits that are doing that and we publicize it, can we get points for that? I don't know. If they have to physically be located in Darien, or if we just have to publicize it,
So the other thing is that what everyone's doing doesn't necessarily match to, I'm trying to look, I'm looking at what each category, and I didn't bring this in a really great way.
Well, that's why I wanted to project, because, you know, when we do have a meeting about sustainable CT, we have to dig into each category and say, oh my gosh, the land trust does that, you know, you have different knowledge about different organizations in town than you do,
but
than I
that's-
do. So that's what I said, we don't know what we don't know what others are doing.
But that's not it, and I don't mean to be,
But I have
agree.
looked at some, like, for example, the land trust, that we didn't get credit for, that they are doing things that I'm sure of that we could get credit for. And so I don't know, you know, who dug into that last time, or what was dug into, or if things changed in sustainable CT, which they could have.
Absolutely, the 22 applications.
But I think there's a lot of
So
the
uploading.
22
for-
application
May I
is-
just ask on that point, how does the town benefit from something we're already doing, taking somebody's time to document this and check off all the different boxes that have to be checked off and put it in the format that has to be put into the format and bring it into the app? How, other than getting points, how do we benefit? How do we
Well, I
go
think
into
we're,
this?
we're putting together a picture of all the great things that Darien's doing, and that's a reputational benefit, right?
And we did that in
Which is
Darien.
2019, and we
So
did
we-
it in
Right,
2022.
so great, so that, you know,
And-
we continue to do it, we continue to show that we have these things.
But
that we
here's
have these
one of the
programs.
other things that we.
Being part of Connecticut's sustainability CT doesn't get us tax benefits as a town. It doesn't get us on a list of anything, like there's
It does
no,
make us eligible for some
state
additional grants
thing.
and things like
It's-
so
that.
it's just a
absolute-
look.
It's absolutely eligible for grant money that we have, as a community, have not taken advantage of in all the
Okay.
years we've been here. And we did get CPA certification on buildings that Sustainable CT provided the experts from UConn and the power companies to do the work for us. So, and we got points for that. So if you work the application and you find things that they can assist you with, you can make progress in your own community. And not just for points, but for real concrete things happening. If in fact you're doing something with the green snow plowing and you can get your people to take the training on how to sustainably manage your snow practices by how you calibrate your machines and how your building complexes in town understand how to properly put salt down at what temperatures, all kinds of things that you can get training, you can put on seminars, there are all kinds of ways.
So there's grants, there's trainings to be a
There's
better
resources,
community.
one of the elements is equity, taking in something you do and having an equity component that shows that the service is available to anyone in the town, in which case we worked with an equity coach to find out what that was. So the process does bring people in. I think I'm gonna make a very kind of just crass distinction. I don't want the five of us in this room to do this work without the policymakers in the community believing that these are the right things to do for the town of Darien. And when you say working with other communities, one of the things we submitted was a 3-page list of organizations and who they are and what we do and who we connect to. So Lauren, a lot of this stuff was worked on before and it can always be improved. But the thing that I want to caution, because I was just like you when we started, is, well, there are all these good things. If the good thing that land justice is doing doesn't apply to an action step there are 13 categories and there are about 80 action steps. So whatever has to go, it's more than 80 action steps at this point, it's probably 100. Whatever goes in has to go into an action step, and I know you've done this before, so you know that. So there's us finding action steps we've already done and documenting them, and finding things that would be good for Darien, and then doing them.
Yes, and that's a huge distinction.
Okay,
And-
Mohan had raised his hand.
That's right.
Please.
I was just gonna say, it's all interesting, right? Sustainable city, certification, taking points of what you have, that's all super cool, super interesting. We can get a brand, whatever, put on the door or somewhere in the town hall, fantastic. But I think the real value add would be, as we're looking at the certification ship that's where you were getting to, identify the true opportunities that will give value to the town. For example, one of the things, again, we talked about this EV for umpteenth time last year, we didn't get anywhere because we did not get the true support we needed to push that forward. I think we need to identify as part of this process. I'm not super interested to get to August or April to meet a deadline, because then we're just doing greenwashing, whitewashing, whatever we're washing, because just claiming we are ready, fine, terrific. If we can identify opportunities, we can take advantage of either the grants or some other benefits we can inure to the town, we should focus on them. To me, that's more value add than just check the box, get a certificate, fine. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a reputational benefit, agree?
Right,
But-
yes.
My
And that-
suggestion is that
wait,
we look at each one of what you're suggesting, we look and we actually
Yes.
do a cost benefit assessment of like what the value is to the town,
Yes.
how much money they're gonna save, how much it will help the environment, you know, how much it will help reputationally, whatever. Look at all these things, but like we have to take a step back to do that and really truly understand what's currently happening and what we think will add the most value.
And I, again, it's not to present it here, but we had a massive spreadsheet, and the points audit will kind of start with this, with every category and then every action all on one spreadsheet. And we did, person by person, Craig Flaherty, Carolyn, myself, we read through every action item. We split them up, we'd have to
Yeah.
split them up. This wasn't the first step. We went through months of sort of figuring out what is this. And we looked at the ones that we thought we had done, ones that we could do, ones that would be a reach, and then the ones that have to do with farming that make no sense, or have greenfield, brownfield, restoration that we may not, we crossed them out. So there was a very sort of rational way to pick
Yeah. Agree.
the low-hanging fruit and the things that would bring something to the town. I'll go back to the snow thing, because I watched a presentation about someone that took the Connecticut training on sustainable snow management, and the head of the DPW of the town of Enfield took the training and implemented the sustainable CT application in its entirety, all 60 points, and saved his town $80,000 in salt year one and 5,000 tons or something of salt in year two, and proceeded to then say that it will save them because they have water quality issues in wells, that if they can improve the sodium on the streets, will help them manage
Yep.
the money they have to spend to mitigate well contamination. So yes, snow might be one that the town could do something with that we've never thought of before. Or maybe we're already doing it and we get points. But that's one that's brand new, in my opinion, is brand new versus something that we've done before, like collect mattresses, which we do, and
Or
get
maybe
points
just
for.
get them to recycle and clear that regulatory gap of like in the schools where they should be doing it anyway.
Absolutely.
Just do the.
Absolutely.
Right, so, okay.
Cliff,
So I think maybe this is what you've already said and what you may be leaning toward. I was here for the first certification. I questioned why we were doing it, and the view was that it was good for the town's reputation and we could learn things, and so I bought in. I devoted myself to it. We got bronze, which was the highest you could get in those days. And then the second time, same thing again, and we got silver, which again was the highest.
there was gold. Well, you could go, we didn't go gold, that was,
Well,
but
I don't know that it was available when we
it was,
started.
we went to,
My position is, for me, is clear. I am totally willing to work, to use Sustainable CT as a source of ideas for things that can be done in the town that will really advance sustainability in this town, which is the one category I think you were describing. I'm not willing to work on anything that is simply documenting what we're already doing to get points. I just won't do it. But I think that I'm also, I have a certain amount of pride. I don't like the idea of going for a bronze after having a silver, but, okay. So, I mean, I'm only one vote. If you guys decide we're gonna go for this, you can count on me to help with anything that's going to advance the town in doing something sustainable. But I will respectfully decline.
Isn't it good to know, Cliff, though, where we stack up against what others are doing? So, Greenwich, Stanford, there's some sense of competition behind this, right? Where it's kind of like, oh, well, they got points in all these categories, but we're doing all those things, but we didn't submit any points, so we're not going to get points in that area, right?
Yeah,
So it's kind of
that
like,
doesn't trouble me.
where do we stack up?
That does not
But
trouble
it
me.
does help so let's just say we write off Sustainable CT, we don't do it, and we're just like, okay, let's go find value in, whatever we're doing. Then, if you look at it from a big picture perspective, we're not, comparing apples to apples. We may not truly understand what exists and what we are doing that's actually a really good thing, right? That we can say, like, oh, we're from the town of Darien. Yeah, we do all these things, and we've documented it. We know what exists here, right? There's something to be said for kind of knowing what's there and having it to compare to other towns, I think.
I like it. I'd do it again. I didn't do the first round. It is a heavy lift. I spent some time looking at this weekend. I wouldn't do it for the points or the competition of it, because it just doesn't do that for me. But what I love is, like, can we save some money? Can we get some grant money? Can we train this department that's gonna make them do better at this, and they feel better because now they've learned and they're the experts in their field, and I like that kind of stuff. And for that, I would do it. I will draw your attention, if you haven't looked at it recently, because they update them every year. This year, it's required for all certification levels to optimize for equity. And so they get into.
we did that
That
before.
was required
Amanda,
last
that was
year, too.
required. We had to
I was
submit
pretty
for.
involved with that,
I wrote
actually.
several.
Okay,
That's
so,
Brenda.
and you can just pass those points
No,
along?
we'll have to
Well,
write new ones.
You'll have
but-
to do some new ones. So I think we should look at that, though, to see if that's something our
It's a tough
town
one.
has done, exactly
it's
why
a
I'm
tough-
bringing it up. Because they've got a specific toolkit that you have
Yes.
to get involved with.
That's
Amanda-
right, and we did that.
Amanda, we both did it. Craig.
Yeah, I mean.
I understand that, but I don't know that you're gonna be able to take that thing you did and just
No,
pass
no,
it
no, no,
through.
no, no, you're
I
not.
think you're gonna have to do some stuff.
They'll
Yes.
tell us which ones can continue, but
Right.
most of them won't. And, I mean, I did this thing on how we deal with homelessness in Darien,
Yes.
okay? That was not very productive. We got points, but it wasn't very productive.
Nobody did anything with it.
No, it's just, we were already doing what we were doing. You'd be surprised, actually, there is a little bit of homelessness that arises here. But we don't have a homeless shelter here, and that was one of the obstacles we had to deal with. In any case, I don't want to belabor it. I would just point out that we're a small committee. There are only so many things we're going to be able to accomplish. If we can get food scraps in the schools, if we can get EVs, if we can during the course of this year, we only meet once a month.
Yeah.
And in between, we work individually, of course, we do a lot of things in between. But if we can get 6 tangible projects advanced during this year, I will be a happy guy. And if they come from the Sustainable CT list, like the greening of the salt, I'm all for it.
But how do we show the town why those 6 projects are so much more important to focus on than all of the other things? Have we gone through and ranked the homelessness issue, I'm just as an example, versus the composting issue, versus the EV issue, right? And so if we had more to show, like, okay, we did our due diligence, we looked and these are the most important projects and this is what we want to do and here's why. And have you looked at all the other 30 things? Yes, we've ruled them out, you know, it's too much work, it's too expensive, it's whatever. We've gone through this process, right, of kind of going through. I think then at least we have something to show them.
I don't feel a need to show anybody anything, but I do think that going over all this list of things and seeing if there are things there that are within our ability to do them, that are important, that we can devote our time and attention to, is a worthy exercise.
Yeah.
I would endorse that.
Yeah, I mean, it can't just be like our favorite project, because we did our degree on it, right? It's gotta
No,
be.
I think it's not about the favorite project. Again, I'm not disagreeing that we want to get the sustainability CT certificate, right? That's good. Again, any certificate is good for the town. But I'm saying just doing it for the sake of doing is not a value add. It should be an outcome of what we do, right? If we did this, we'll get there naturally, right? I have no problem with it, right? Because again, a lot of the things we're talking about, they already tie into it. What we're saying is not
They
about
do.
effort, right?
They're all in there.
For example, I'll tell you one. So we had the EV work last year. We could get nowhere. We did so much work. All we needed was like $40,000 grant. Couldn't move it. We struggled, suffered anyway, right? So this year looks like with our committee. So maybe we have an opportunity. We will further it. That will actually, VGs are going to get a lot of points for us. Just people going and taking the EV training gives us points for that, right? But again, to me, that's naturally giving you the points you need. Whereas if we spend time collecting all of this, spend 3 months, and we had nothing to show other than the certificate, I think that would be
Yeah, I think none of us want to do things just to
That's
do
what
things,
this is,
because
yeah.
that doesn't make any
That's
sense
what
to
I
any
think
of
I'd
us.
like to not restate what Mohan said, but add to what you said in that the effort to complete the application in some communities is done by staff. For
Yeah.
example, the DPW director of, I think I said Ellington, was charged with completing the sustainable CT application for the town of Ellington, and that was his job as part of his paying job, directed to by his boss. And many communities, it's that way, where the people who work for the community and the community believes it's important, make this part of their workload. We, as a committee, asked the town to do this in 2019 and repeated in 2022. And while we worked under the Department of Public Works as our kind of liaison, so a lot of our work was DPW related, but we worked with Parks and Rec, we worked with Health and Human Services, we worked with different groups around the town, we worked with nonprofits to see what the action items were and to find out if anybody could or would do something. So sometimes we started something new, sometimes we did it. But we did it as volunteers, and in 2022 we had 0 interaction with the Board of Selectmen through the entire process. So we submitted the application through the committee on our own with the willing participation of certain staff members that had pride in something they'd done. I'll give you 3 fast examples. We have a new communication director, and we wrote a fabulous description of how the town had improved its communication to its citizens. We worked with Parks and Recreation because they had established a buddy program which got volunteers to help children in the Parks and Rec camp programs that needed extra assistance to be able to come to regular camp programs with volunteer kids that helped them participate. And that was an equity item, went under equity. We worked with Health and Human Services on things that had to do with homelessness. We worked with them on, I don't think that any of the vaccine programs were in there, but there are certain people who do work and see a vision and are very happy to share what they do. And that is all reflected in the application we submitted and helped us get to silver. I think where I come at now is I would love to do this again, but I want to do it with the involvement of the town administrator and department people that see a vision and say, in many cases, I am doing this. I'm, getting the Phragmites out of Weed Beach and that gets points, right? Or gee, I should look at, maybe my people should take sustainable snowplow training. We don't have to do 18 steps to get 40 points, but we can get 5 points by understanding what this program is. It's one day, 3 times a year in Connecticut, done by UConn there. So I think it really is the buy-in of the departments and some of the commissions, because if some of the work gets into planning and if building codes required you have food scrap recycling bins built into your system, then that helps with the whole food scrap recycling program expanding beyond a volunteer program at the dump. So what we did not have last time was any introduction to or presentation to the people who we supposedly advise to say, here's the process, let's show you the actions. Are you trying to do this? Do you need help? Have you done it? We're willing to participate, but if we're coming, and we can come at it from the points audit, which will show us what we did last time, and share that with the people who are doing the work here, then I think you have a partnership. Mohan had his.
I was just gonna ask the question, is it possible for us to ask the town to provide some clerical help? Because I think we should be doing the influencing, act as subject matter experts, then going to do this clerical work, I think, which is, as you said, the staff who can collect the information, we can direct them what needs to get done. That will save our time so that we can focus on the things. If you have a large list, we can focus on the things versus trying to really do this clerical stuff. Is that not possible?
And I don't know. I mean, I will tell you that some of that was done by, we engaged the Sustainable CT interns to do some of the clerical work for us. We would get a document from an organization, and Sustainable CT would help us format it so that it could be uploaded into this system. Because there is an element that the way you submit it has to be the way they want it.
I think he's right, though. They need stake in the game. They need to put hours into this, to be committed to it, to feel, we need that support. We're not gonna do it on our own. I think, they have the information, they have, people that have, the paid time. If the town can put that behind this, then we can really get behind it, right? If they can say, okay, we'll give you this person, and this person for, X number of hours per week to work with you to help write things up, actually get things into here. I think that
Or even just they're available when you have questions to get to this stuff.
I almost think we need a little more
actual
commitment.
doers, not yet.
Yeah.
We need the doers.
Yeah.
If the town wants a certification, town has to put the weight behind.
Well, they didn't the last 2 times, they made that very clear.
But if we
And our whole approach to get their cooperation was, at least mine, I'll speak for myself, I'll make this painless for you. Just give me the time, answer my questions, give me the documents,
It's
I'll make it
unfortunate
painless.
that John is not here to speak.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Right,
For
it
more.
sounds like the
Different
next
groups.
step is to go to John and say,
Yeah.
here's the commitment we need, specifics.
Yep.
Yeah,
Here's what we're willing to do.
yeah.
Yeah, it
And
can't
if
hurt to
any of
ask
these
for
others,
more.
like the green team, the green
Right.
wave, there's all these others, like, are they invested at all in
Well, they
doing this
meet
with
with-
us?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Green Wave meets with John on a regular basis. They talk about things. I'm sure they have something. I mean, I know from speaking with them that they think that this is a paperwork exercise. I personally don't think it's all a paperwork exercise, and I don't want it to be. But for them to get behind it and to understand it, and for us to be able to partner and have that support. The town, for John and the board to go to these other groups and say, hey, we're signing on to this, we believe in this, go help these people, we want you to be invested in this, would mean a lot.
But then we have
So-
to tell them what's the benefit, where does the money come
Right.
in, where's the conference or the training
Yes.
that's gonna be interesting, who do we pull into our community to help with XYZ?
Right.
So it's what's the benefit to
And I
them.
think it's what John and the board is interested in accomplishing. And John did say, I see it's a very heavy lift. Maybe all we do is bronze, but he's not here having this conversation with us. My recommendation, I think we've covered a lot on this, and I know we don't have a huge amount of time, is to schedule a meeting. I think the best thing would be to get the Sustainable CT point audit completed this week, and we'll be ready early next week. I will find out some timing Sustainable CT could Zoom with us, and we could have a meeting and make sure that John can be on that call. so that we could all come out with the same explanation of this is what you did last time, and it's, you know, it's markedly different in 2025, you have to start from scratch, or about half of what you did if you're still doing these things. Some of the things is continuous, recycling, you know, some of the things, farmers markets, some of those things continue. But the new things have to add up and find out where your gaps are, and then we could talk about how we do it, when we do it, who fills out the paperwork.
We need to put the information
I gotta
together
go.
and present our recommendation to John.
Absolutely.
I don't wanna see him like this, how the sausage is made kind of thing. Let's say, this is what we recommend, this is what we,
Thank you, Amanda.
you know, this is what we think would be beneficial, here's the
Absolutely.
data as to why.
We can't do that until we
Yeah.
see this point on it.
Right.
So I need to leave a meeting too, so.
Yep.
I
Yep.
will look forward for the meeting invite for the point audit.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the next meeting, and we
Thank
won't
you.
wait till March,
Yeah.
we'll do it via Zoom special meeting, as soon as it's available, okay? Thank you. We still have 3, so we can continue to talk for a few minutes till our 1:15 deadline. And I know there were a couple other items, agenda items, can
So,
we?
sorry, just to be clear, we will get the points audit done, and then who will kind of pull together the information so that we can put it together before we meet with the board?
Well, we'll have a meeting to go over the points audit, and then we'll figure out who does what steps
Okay.
next. I think we have to, at this point, see the points audit, and then prepare that points audit for a recommendation. I don't see how to make a recommendation without the points
Yeah,
audit.
I agree.
It's kind of like, we might be surprised, I mean, we might really, really be surprised at how much we'll carry over.
Well, and the other thing is that they don't know what's going on in town. They don't know about these 30 other organizations or what that organization, or who we partnered with before in the past, so they may not have all the information at their disposal, and there may be even more points that we're eligible for.
All they're going to do is look at what the sustainable CT application requires, what we presented before, and they know detail-wise whether something that we did in 2022 would still be valid in 2025. So you're gonna pull the things over, and then you're gonna find a gap. And then it's up to us to look at that gap and see where we,
Okay.
what things we could take on that we'd have to, you know,
That
begin.
makes sense. That makes
Because there
sense.
will be some amount, the recycling is one, there are a couple of things that are absolutely going to, that carry over from year to year to year, because we keep doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I was just gonna give an example of the town not being helpful last time. We could have gotten points for having a sustainable purchasing policy.
I heard about this one.
And I went, they were in the process of updating the purchasing policy for the town. They were planning to do that, I don't know if they ever finally did. And I went to the person responsible and I said, you know, let's try to do this, and I'll help you, and I'm willing to sit down and do most of the work, I've got models I can use. Nothing happened.
Well, I think the leadership is different now, and it sounds
is.
like they're interested
It is different,
in
you're right.
hearing, so it can't hurt to ask again, and those could be easy points maybe.
No, I totally agree that it's a new situation, and I think
Yeah.
we've hashed out all of the considerations.
And I think in town, you may say, so we might pick 6 of them, there's sustainable purchasing agreement, it might be green snowplow training, and recalibration or testing of your snow machines, it might be something that, obviously, the work with, that's ongoing with the beaches, that the tour last weekend of the engineering studies for the beaches with flood mitigation, there may be 5 or 6 things, some of which we're doing and some of which we could do, and the town will say, I really don't want to look at snow removal, it's just so low on my priority list, I've got no time or energy. Someone else might say, I really, really, really think we need to update our purchasing agreements, and it would be great if there were some components in there that at least recognize distribution channels or packaging or whatever is in that agreement. So the town the town is not going to want to do everything that is a best practice
Oh,
in the state of
There
Connecticut.
are definitely gonna be resistance from some people. My plate's already full, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, but if you can make a few tweaks here and there, like maybe we get them to tweak, you know, a little bit in the policy, but it doesn't meet the points, but then maybe next time we can go back, you know, it's.
and often the
stepping
points
stone.
is just taking a class or hosting a conversation,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
that
right.
says, what if we did this? What's, you know, and just talking about it
Yeah.
is considered
Yeah, exactly.
without implementing a policy.
Right.
So a
It's
lot of
something.
it's education, a lot of
Yeah.
it is education as
Right.
well, so there's balance, and yeah, maybe Cliff and I are a little battle board.
I get it, it's a lot of work, I get it.
I just, you know, I'm not interested in points, I'm interested in sustainability.
Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly. I'm interested in sustainability. I'm also, what are they interested in?
Correct.
Right? So
Correct.
it's kind of like, you know, if we have this, let's use it as leverage to get to sustainability.
Yes, agreed.
Kathy, last time at the meeting, I was asked to look into a couple of.
Yes, and
things.
wanted to get to those now, so the waste, there was sort of communication and waste management, since we've got you here. And Lauren and I have talked a lot about communication, I'm gonna switch C and B to talk about the waste stuff, right?
Okay. So, I have been given this, which is a piece of our new contract showing what we pay to have things removed. I've had a very nice conversation with Darien. My conclusions I've documented here.
Is this under, sorry, what is-
Waste, so we skipped communication for a minute.
So
that you-
fruit scrap?
Waste management, Cliff and all, so number one was data collection. Part of what we talked about at the last meeting is finding out what we are spending, what our contract is, what our weights are that we're, you know, beginning to put together any kind of model of what more we could recycle or why food scrap recycling should be increased, that we were gathering the data for that.
So,
And Cliff did get some stuff here. Okay,
those are the costs to have things removed. Basically, we don't get anything for metal. Anyway, you can read this at your leisure. I'll just go to my conclusions. The single stream has a financial as well as an environmental advantage. We're paying $75 versus $103. There's a small rebate, so it's even less than 75, but small. I conclude that we should put everything metal into the metal thing, whether it's cans or not. You're never gonna get people to do that. I'm gonna do that. You're not gonna see any more of my cans in single stream because we don't get paid for it. If we put it in metal, it's cheaper to take it away and we get paid for it. And then the last thing is, flattening and segregating the cardboard is not gonna benefit us financially. It does improve the processing that takes place, and it is better for the environment because the cardboard doesn't get contaminated. But I just think, you know, there are times when we do things because of financial incentives, and then there are other times we do things because it's the right thing to do. And so I'm hoping that we will, in our education campaign, encourage people to flatten their cardboard and segregate their cardboard. So those are my takeaways.
thank you. So Cliff, you got the costs for the year, the fiscal year through '25. And the piece that Carolyn sent me that I gave to you is the singles, the food waste, which is not in this document, I'm assuming.
No, no, well, food waste,
It is not one of these MSW brush, logs, leaves, scrap metal, tires, batteries, single streams.
no, it's a different thing.
Because it's not wind waste, it's under
Exactly.
curbside compost.
Right. But I did also send you the data about the tonnage of different
Yes.
things that we have sent, that we do have taken away from them.
And now I'm going crazy because I brought those things with me and now my papers are all.
Well, I'm not sure we need to go over it at this point.
Yeah, but in addition to that, what we've got is that, the history of food scrap recycling. Carolyn sent me
Yeah,
food scrap recycling, and you sent us this. What's really interesting when you look at it over time is the food scraps have remained flat for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because we have a place, a voluntary place, and it's 43 tons. So that 43 tons comes out of the money, the 103, those $103 a ton that we pay for solid waste.
yeah. That would be the alternative. There, in that solid waste, there's a lot of food,
There's a lot of
and we're
food,
paying 103 for it to go. I don't know what we're paying for
curbside, but if
But we're not
food,
breaking even, as I understand it.
if food waste was, if more food waste, all the food, every ton of food waste that comes out of municipal solid waste is coming out of this $103 a ton.
Correct.
And what I don't see here, the other data was how many tons we go through in a year. There's a significant amount.
I emailed that, didn't I?
Maybe I
I'm
didn't
pretty
study
sure I
it all.
emailed that. That's why I
For the
didn't
next
bring it
meeting,
again.
maybe we can take what Carolyn just sent me today and what you already did. Because I think that's the story you want to tell if we wish to have another spot for food scrap recycling. Three 3,858 tons to city carting.
Yeah. The food waste, I mean, Connecticut's in a really bad situation with respect to municipal solid waste. And we know that 25 to 30% of that is food waste. And that food waste also, it goes to an incinerator and it impedes the incineration. So we know it's the right thing to do to get it out of there. And we need to try to do that. Unfortunately, it often is a matter of cost. You know, it is, can we do that on a break-even basis? I think most everybody will be on board. Can we do that? It's gonna cost us a little more. I'm not sure anybody's willing to do it, but that's where we are. Anyway,
And that's some of the data that you have and that Carolyn submitted to me just this morning lets us start to take our own data and look at what goes into municipal solid waste, single stream. We can add the curbside compost numbers to it and start to see where, beyond being the right thing, where expanding the removal of food from your garbage, why that's a good thing financially. And we're not ready to make that argument, but this data helps.
What about composting at home? I mean, I know we don't have data, but if we could get commitments from people to you know, do it at home, and we could get so many people to sign on, could we put numbers behind something like that instead of?
We've actually, I know Carolyn works with the Nature Center and they've done some educating on how to
Yeah.
compost at home and things
But-
like that.
and
as
there are
well.
people who do it.
Yeah, I do it. I mean, yeah, but
It's, you know.
I guess, is there another way? I don't know, like, is there another way to do that? Like, there's some other things, maybe, have we thought of, you know, doing in-vessel, large-scale composting here instead of shipping it somewhere else and then having,
We can't even
different
compost our
model.
own leaves. They're
Yeah.
paying people to take away our leaves. I didn't realize that. I
but we
thought
would save money. In theory, there's an ROI, right,
Yeah.
for doing it here, cause, so
Yeah.
taking our leaves, moving it here, like X, you know, pounds of, you know, leaves, yard waste, food waste, etc., that if we can process it ourselves versus carting it off and paying all this money
Yeah.
to do that, I don't know what those numbers look like right now. I know the cost of industrial size composting for a town level, you know, has an ROI. It had a high ROI 10 years ago when I looked at it, right? But now today, is it different? I don't know. I don't know if we have,
It's not just the equipment, it's the space to do it, the land
it's
to
gotta
do
be
it.
inside, it's gotta be temperature regulated, you
and
need
it-
somebody to run
it's-
it,
it's
like,
a-
yeah,
that's
there's a
a-
lot of factors.
That's a heavy lift.
There
Yeah.
are
I mean,
groups
I'd
all,
love to see it happen.
There are
Stanford's
groups-
doing it.
Stanford's
groups all
doing it, that's
over
what I
the town.
mean,
Yeah, there are
yeah.
groups
Other
all-
towns are doing it too.
I think Wilton or Weston, that Ridgefield, someone has set those things up. They have a lot more land and space. Carolyn has, and the groups that she belongs to and that I belong to have done. There are municipal solid waste groups that are looking at all of these things.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
I've
expertise in
Seen
the
a
state.
gazillion presentations
Not-
on it,
Yeah,
right? A
yeah,
gazillion.
not right here, the three of us at the table. I think where we start is to take the numbers that you got and add some of Carolyn's numbers and see if we can begin to make sense of where we could make improvements, because to the town and certainly to the Board of Selectmen and certainly in conversations with John, any way that we can help reduce the municipal solid waste, i.e. the cost of it, is a benefit to the town because the costs are skyrocketing. And some of it we can't because the costs are skyrocketing because the crisis in the state. But what incremental things can the town do as a community? And we know food scraps can make a difference. There may be a couple of other items that we don't recycle separately. There may be separating out your glass for fee or metal. So there may be some things that would assist. And I don't know what those are, but we at least now have kind of the current state of affairs with our garbage on these charts, and I think it's worth thinking about. You know, showing to Carolyn.
Yeah, I mean, with our limited bandwidth, there
Yeah.
are third-party organizations we can bring on to do this at little or no cost, right? So there are, opportunities if someone, really wanted to dig in instead of Cliff, digging through this and going to each person and trying to dig up all the information. There may be even the companies that sell the composters, or if they want to do that, or the companies that or interns or something like the high school, there's other things we could try to leverage. I don't know if we'd be eligible for grants based on our prior certification, but, there might be some.
Although the community match fund in Darien and Sustainable CT allows you to match, and the amount of money you can raise, they will match for projects, and it's very broad
Interesting.
what you can do, so if you wanted to do a trial.
Yeah.
We didn't get to something that Carolyn sent me today, and I'd like to say this and then we'll have to end, was there is there are some parents that would like around Earth Day to be able to collect food waste in Royal and potentially one or two other schools, and bring it, they'll set it up for like a day in the cafeteria, and then ultimately they'll bring it to the dump. So it wouldn't be reorganizing the cafeterias, but it would be some volunteer-driven work. They could weigh the food if they do it for 1 week or for 1 day a week for 4 weeks. In a couple of schools, they could get some general experience that won't cost anything financially.
Okay.
And then they would like to be able to, share the results of that. So
Yeah.
as a teaching moment with kids and as some prototype experience. There's some parents
So that ties to.
ready to do this right now, according to Carolyn, and she's gonna get us in touch with them.
I'd say have them do it. What are they gonna do with the food waste?
They'll have to bring it
They're
to
gonna
the
bring it
town
to
hall,
the
so
dump.
we'd ask Ed for permission to
They're
drop
gonna
it
bring
at
it
the
to
dump.
town hall.
Not
No,
town
the
hall,
dump.
the dump.
They're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
bring it to the dump
Yeah.
and put
They
it
might ask.
into the bins, and then it's gonna get carted away. What about,
May I just say, Jon Zagrodzky, I spoke to him about an introduction, because the schools have to agree to this, right?
Right,
Yeah.
And
parents are
they-
working on that.
What's that?
The parents doing this are working
Yeah,
on that.
right, they're trying to get the authority and the permission
Yes.
to do it. John has designated this coming Monday as the day when he will ask the superintendent,
Fabulous.
yeah, that's great news. Are they gonna do it for the whole school, and how many students are there?
I have I just have one email, I don't know all the details yet,
Sorry.
Lauren. I think that
I think it's once,
Carolyn has worked with these parents before. They did an event, did a raffle last year with food scrap bins as
Mhm.
gifts, prizes.
well, there are
So
two
they're-
people on the green team who also want to help to progress this.
Yeah, well, I think right now there's a group and they're seeking permission to collect food in 1 or 2 elementary schools. And any way we could support that with volunteering our time or helping them get permission from the school. Carolyn has been dealing with them because she was the food scrap guru on ACS. She's not on our committee anymore. She's gonna forward it over to us.
You know, I'm starting to think we might need to meet twice a month. I mean,
Maybe.
we've got so much more to cover.
I've been
Your
saying this every
communications
meeting since we
piece,
started.
I know you have, I know you have. Our communications thing, I mean, what you did needs discussion.
Yeah.
It really does, there's a lot in there.
I get it. matter of, we'll
Well,
see if
yeah, I mean,
everybody's
Earth
willing to
Day,
meet
Earth
twice
Day
a week.
needs a meeting, like, we need to talk about Earth Day, right, and what we're gonna do, like, that's a
Wow.
whole separate meeting. Sustainable CT needs another meeting, like, that's what I mean. I have the time now to do it, but I won't have the time in another 2 to 3 months.
And I mean, Mohan is works full-time and
Yeah, but I
I'm
mean,
not
so
sure
does
the
everybody,
degree
but,
of-
yeah.
Can I just mention one thing to get it into the minutes, actually, because everybody else is gone? But Westcog does a regional waste study. The last one they did was June of '21, and it's in the process of being updated, and that's something that we want to stay plugged into. or get
Absolutely.
What
plugged
is
into.
it? Westcog?
Westcog,
And they do a municipal,
a regional waste study, Westcog.
what is that?
It's an association of Western Connecticut
Oh,
towns.
okay. Westcon?
COG, C-O-G.
Okay. Westcog does a regional waste study, and they just give you numbers on town by town, or?
There are town-by-town numbers in it. You can see the 21 studies on their website. That'll give you an
Okay.
idea of what the new one will look like.
Okay,
except
I'll link
different numbers.
Okay.
It's a shame we didn't get to the communications thing.
Well, I have some things on Earth Day too, events and ideas and thoughts and.
When is Earth Day
programs.
again?
April 22nd.
To the degree that certain programs or events can just be kind of self-generated and worked on as opposed to done at a meeting, I think a lot of work
Well, it
was done by
seems-
Craig and Carolyn, and myself was all very independent and then brought in when it came to programming or things like
Well,
that.
how do we know we're gonna get support for the things that we wanna do? Like if I wanna, like I have, for example, a landlord of Darien Commons, or the real estate company that wants to get involved in doing some educational events and things like that, and there could be an event over there and they're, on board to kind of get involved with things, but, if we don't have an appetite for that, then we wanna do something totally different on composting education or something like
I would
that.
just have them do it. I guess the simple part is,
Well, I can do that by myself.
You could.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need this committee to do it, but, if we wanna do it and have credit for the great things that we're doing,
Well,
then we do it as
then
a.
you've got to, then that would, I think that in a case like that, it would be taking that outside of a meeting and saying, I've got this event, can y'all be there? Or can we use this space to do it, or, get town hall involved, or if, a lot of things, like we didn't ask the town to present at the library for Earth Day 2 years ago, we just got an invitation to present, we said, okay. And we did it, and we got points for it as a committee. So some things were done very independently. All the meetings we go to at Westcog or Sustainable Fairfield County or whatever,
Yeah,
we did all that on our own and then brought our knowledge into the meetings. But to the degree if there's something that we can't wait for a meeting, that doesn't mean to go off and set town policy, but if it means to set up an event or to be a speaker at something, moving that along between meetings, I don't think is inappropriate.
yeah, it just, we don't know, like, I don't know enough about what's going on where to say like, oh yeah, I'll just go speak at the library next week, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be happy to present on composting, no problem.
Yeah.
But, if, can we connect that to points? Can we connect that to what we're doing here? Can we connect that to does the town give approval for it? Like, all the things, if we want it to be a project for us, then, there's a lot of pieces that we need to be checked. And of course, I would want input from others who have been through this for this town specifically. So I don't, okay. Can I have the list of the different organizations that you had?
Oh, we created that as part of the.
It was in the application, let me
Yeah.
see if I can tell you where it was.
Like I've asked for, like I've asked Carolyn and everybody.
This
for
is,
it.
this was part of a submission for the application.
I'm afraid of, yeah.
Do you want me to just email it to you instead of giving you a paper copy?
Paper's fine. I just want to see it. Can I have this?
Yeah, because I should be able to get it online.
I didn't find it, so that's why I was, yeah, this is helpful. Okay, I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
That
I mean,
would
I'm
be
afraid
good.
if we don't start an Earth Day thing now, then we're gonna be scrambling at the last minute, we don't know what's going on, and we probably won't do anything.
Well, when you say we, you're talking about our committee, because there will be things done by the Nature Center.
Sure, of
There will
course
be
there
things
will.
done by a lot of organizations in town.
Of course there will.
And I'm not sure what I mean, we typically, last time I think what we did was we got involved with Whole Foods, for example, and they let us have a table for food recycling. We brought our kits to sell and things like
Amanda
that.
set that up directly with Whole Foods.
And
Yes,
Carolyn.
and
Carolyn.
Carolyn helped, but Amanda was working with
She
Whole
kind of-
Foods.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
is this-
she did it, we as a committee didn't meet to seek out Whole Foods. Amanda talked to the GM at Whole Foods who thought it was cool, and
Yeah.
they set up a day.
Did it work well? Do we wanna do it again? Does it add value to the community? Does it add
I
value
think
for us?
asking Amanda whether that same person is there because the manager's changed, that was 2 years ago.
Well, he wasn't responsive about some of the recycling that goes on there. I was a little disappointed.
We participated in again, we didn't do anything 24, we participated at the Nature Center, we participated at the library. We did not host anything, we participated in things all around town. We provided the kits for the Royal School raffle on Earth Day, the composting kits, so the Royal School had an Earth Day fair, and we had a composting little demo or something, and they gave away the composting kits as raffle prizes.
I mean, that's cool.
So that was something that happened, we
Doesn't-
presented at the library, we presented at the Nature Center, we set up at Whole Foods, and we assisted the schools, but we didn't have an event of our own. We participated in Earth Day celebrations. Some towns have Earth Day celebrations that the town hosts, where they would have demonstrations and things like that. I would think that's for next year.
Yeah, well, Marley mentioned like that the town would, she thinks that they would love to collect something here and
Yes.
recycle, but we haven't talked about this. Again, I want that meeting with the other organizations so we know what they're doing and we can tag on to that. Again, this would be helpful.
Can Marley I know we had a location where we might be able to do this. Shall we just pick a date and go for it?
What, pick a date for what?
Inviting her and
Oh,
having
having the,
yeah.
I mean, you guys said that we had to talk about it as a team. I sent out an email that said, this would be like the time and place, we would do it here, what do you think? And you're like, we'll talk about it at the meeting, which we
And
didn't
I
get
thought
to.
we didn't get to, but given that the meeting is still not, we haven't called ourselves out of order, there are 3 of us here. The idea with Marley was to invite different groups together, so we'd have sort of a sharing of the minds.
But this is what the green team does, and this is what the green wave does.
There's a green team, there's a green wave, they don't apparently
No, I realize.
mesh for some reason.
I realize. Yeah.
We are the advisory, right? So,
But, yeah. But we're
so
not-
for me, I just want to understand what everybody's doing. That's really all I want.
Yeah.
I want to get everybody together and understand what they're doing. I haven't been to a green wave meeting. I haven't been to a green team meeting. I don't know what they do. It's not helpful to be siloed, in my opinion, and just kind of doing our own thing and scrambling. Like, there's so many reasons to understand what these other organizations are doing. For Earth Day, for the Sustainable CT, to add value in the community, to give input. 'Cause
And
we-
Marley thought the town might be really excited to host that type of a get-together.
It sounds like that's what John wants anyway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, it sounds
Yeah, I
like
think
Yeah,
we
I
should
think
just.
that's on his radar screen. That's part of what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I think he's the one
hosting,
to do it.
Well, if we're the advisory commission and we can give advice like, oh, okay, well, we know that this group is working on this and we think that adds value. We looked at it for Sustainable CT, we looked at it for an Earth Day event. We know what's going on. Right now, we don't know, I don't know anything about what anybody's doing.
We know a lot more than you might think, because we've been living here a long time, and we know all these organizations.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
What's their
But-
event for Earth Day? What's their events for, what is the Land Trust working on? What is the Nature Center working on? What are they planning to do for Earth Day? Do we want to tag on? Do we not want to tag on? Do we want to
I think
support them?
hosting
Post them on our intranet?
hosting a sustainability event, the town hosting a sustainability event invites the players of the different groups that are listed there.
Yeah.
Just off my tongue, my idea might be to give to them the definition of sustainability that kind of comes from sustainable CT and how working together is a great thing. And giving people a chance to discuss their, you know, what are their missions, a mission or an event or something that they're doing, but in the context of sustainability here through the town.
Yeah,
And I think that would be a nice structure, nice
so
meeting.
it's not like,
Whether you sit at the Mather Center, or if it's during
Yeah.
these hours, or
I wanna
town
give them like
holidays,
3
or-
minutes to just
Yeah,
present,
yeah.
like, hey, this is who we are and this is what we're working on. And that's it. Like, I don't want it to become political or anything.
No. I think
you
we
know.
should just go ahead, and the communications manager thought it was a great idea. You and I met with her as one of the to-dos from the last meeting. I would think you would support,
Are you saying this is an initiative of this committee?
would be initiative of this committee with the town support to host a sustainability gathering with the
I mean,
groups in town.
for me, it makes sense that John is trying to get his arms around all of this and bring it together. Prior efforts to do that include both of the organizations we just referred to, and I've been to a lot of Green Team meetings. I don't see it as our role to pull these organizations together. I see it as what the team wants to be doing. I don't see it as our role.
If we're advising on sustainability though, don't we need to understand what they're doing?
You know, I've been on this committee now, I think for like 7 years, and we've accomplished some very good things, but nowhere near as much as we could accomplish with an administration like the one we have now. Maybe we have more potential. But when we focus on something, we get it done. When we're all over the page, we don't get anything done. And there's only so much a small committee can do. Now, we've had to do things on our own. I mean, Carolyn pretty much single-handedly did the food scrap program. Wouldn't have happened without her and the support of folks on the committee. If you're thinking that we're going to be sort of like the orchestra leader, getting other organizations to do things, I don't think that's going to happen.
So, what if there's another little committee or commission or something, not commission, but another organization out there who is starting to do things with food scraps? Wouldn't it be helpful for us to know what they're doing and understand like what resources they have?
Of course, you don't want to run across another
Right.
organization.
Well, what about EVs? What about
Yeah.
pollinators? What about, I mean, all the environmental
So
things,
that
right?
was the purpose of the Green Team. Now, the
And
Green,
they don't apparently pull everyone together.
well, they used to.
Okay, I think we're running at this point past 1:30. I hear two folks in favor of inviting, having a gathering of different people working in the areas of the environment and sustainability, and one who says, no, I would like the input of Amanda and Mohan to move forward on that. We will be having a special meeting soon, so hopefully we could come to an agreement on that.
Yeah, so if we do it before Earth Day, there may be opportunities for us
Yes.
to understand what others are doing for Earth Day. If we do it before, we potentially may want to submit the CT in April, we could understand and get information on that.
Yeah.
Right, so there's,
So I think
So-
to give Amanda and Mohan a chance to weigh in, we are going to get together for a special meeting about sustainable CT. and
just
points
sustainable
audit.
CT.
And the points audit, but in that, we can look to see in the points audit if bringing together groups would be an activity that would be,
Okay, so
you know, and
that's
so
on
we
the
could
agenda for
talk
that.
it through as, would this be an item that we could do? But I hear your objection, I hear your enthusiasm, I'd like them to weigh in.
I'm delighted that something like that would happen. I think it's a good thing. I just think there's a lot of I think John should be the one doing it.
I
He's
think
not
that,
gonna, I mean,
but I think that this type of meeting would be hosted by the town with us as sort of the ambassadors to it.
he wants us to advise, and in order to advise, we need to understand. And so, he's not gonna go off on understanding environmental organizations in town. I think we need to come together, and that's kind of our role. I mean, I thought that was our role.
And he was pretty explicit. He was saying, we've got the coastal commission, we've got this, we've
Yeah.
got that. And I want to see about how to coordinate all of this, how to make sure. So, I mean, I think he's on it. I really do.
I would be
I
limiting
don't-
this more to the sustainable actions in the town that people are working on and sharing those among ourselves to see where those would fit in.
That's why I used to go to Green Team.
Yeah.
Can we go to Green Wave and Green Team meeting? Can we all get invited to those?
Yeah.
How do we?
Oh, yeah, you can go.
I'll make sure, we do need to wrap this up, we're past
The
our
last
hour.
Green Team meeting I went to, just for the record, I think there are 3 people there. I was
Yeah, and they only
one.
meet now once a quarter,
Meeting once a quarter.
it's,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
All right.
That's what it is.
so that's,
I move that we adjourn.
second, 1:40, we are adjourned.